I walked into the break room and the conversation died so abruptly that I could hear the hum of the refrigerator vibrating against the floor. My three closest colleagues were huddled around a single phone, their faces flushed with a mixture of guilt and excitement that made my stomach drop instantly. I stood in the doorway with my laptop tucked under my arm, watching as they scrambled to hide the screen and began talking about the weather in voices that were far too loud and forced. It was a level of social exclusion that felt like a bucket of ice water being poured over my head. And I realized that whatever they were looking at was a direct attack on my reputation. I have worked at this marketing firm for 4 years, and I always considered these people my work family because we had survived so many late nights and high-stakes pitches together. I had shared my personal struggles and my professional dreams with them over 1,000 cups of coffee, believing that our bond was based on mutual respect and shared goals. However, as I stood there in the silence, I noticed that none of them would look me in the eye, and the air in the room felt heavy with a betrayal I couldn't yet name. It was clear that the group chat I was part of wasn't the only one they were using to discuss the office dynamic. What was so interesting on that phone that you had to hide it the second I walked in? I asked, my voice echoing in the small space as I walked toward the table. Sarah, the person I had helped with her mortgage application just last month, laughed nervously and told me it was just a funny meme that I wouldn't understand. I didn't move. I just held out my hand and waited for her to realize that I wasn't going to just walk away and pretend I hadn't seen their reaction. The smile slid off her face and she looked at the others for support, but they were suddenly very interested in their coffee cups and their shoes. I realized then that they weren't just sharing a joke. They were sharing a leaked draft of my performance review that had been accidentally left on the shared printer that morning. Brenda finally sighed and slid the phone across the table, showing me a screen filled with comments mocking my leadership style and making light of a personal mistake I had made during a presentation. They had taken my vulnerabilities and turned them into a digital roast, adding their own cruel observations to the manager's notes as if my career were nothing more than a spectator sport. I felt a wave of hot, stinging shame that quickly turned into a cold and focused rage. I didn't yell and I didn't cry because I knew that giving them an emotional reaction would only give them more material for their next secret meeting. Instead, I took a photo of the phone screen with my own device, making sure to capture their names in the chat header. And then I walked over to the trash can and threw my untouched coffee away. If you find my career so entertaining, you should probably spend more time on your own work so your names aren't on the next round of layoff lists, I said. I walked out of the break room and went straight to my desk, where I began documenting the incident and preparing a formal complaint for HR. I spent the rest of the day in a state of quiet, productive fury, and by the time I left the office, the manager had already been notified about the breach of confidentiality regarding my review. The three of them tried to apologize as I was packing my bag, claiming it was all just a misunderstanding and that they were actually defending me in the chat. I didn't even look up. I just told them that I was done being the person who fixed their mistakes while they laughed at mine behind my back. I haven't spoken to any of them outside of work-related emails since that day. And while the office is a much lonelier place, it's also much more honest. I learned that work friends are often